Welcome to Podnutz Pro, show number 43. We are back. We had a little layoff there. Nothing really happened. I was really sick last week. I still got a cough, so if you hear me cough throughout the show, my apologies. But we're back and we're live, and let's say hi to the star of the show. Some people call him Matt. I just call him Matt. Matt Rainey. What's up, man?
Oh, same old, same old. Extremely busy. I think I see the light at the end of the tunnel, though, because I think we're down to one more big job scheduled and then back to regular day-to-day stuff. So that's
Sweet.
nice. And hopefully we can get through this show because we have some very bad weather moving in on where I am.
Yeah, Matt had told me before the show started he's in tornado country, so if we lose him.
Well, there's a bunch of tornado warnings in effect for another couple of hours.
Good, man. Yep, I've been extremely busy at work. Got a new job, so I'm dealing with Cisco equipment. So I'm trying to get certifications and deal with that part of the world. Quite different, my friend. Quite different.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I want to also just let everybody know sorry for missing a few weeks in a row there. Sometimes it happens, holidays, sicknesses, get real busy. It's not going to be an ongoing thing. Hopefully we get back in our regular schedule, which is every week, except, of course, 1 week a month. I can't do it, but we may actually move that to a different day so we can do every week, but hopefully we're going to be back in a more regular schedule since all that stuff is passed.
I definitely agree. We're not what they call pod fading, where podcasts, just go off and die and never come back. Definitely not us and the three dogs inside the room currently. So, what is this show about, Mr. Rainey?
A few things. The first thing I want to talk about is that I mentioned before we were doing some migrations, and some people had problems. Internal users, some reported not being able to send mail to other internal users.
Okay.
And that had just happened the day of our last podcast is when my guys told me, hey, we're having problems with this. So I found the fix. We actually had some listeners call in, or our door actually called in, and we got an email if you want to do those real quick.
All right. All right, let me go to the email here. Well, first I'll play the voicemail from Door. I had to minimize Matt. And here's the voicemail.
Hello, Steve. This is Door Geek. This message is for Lalo and Matt. My migration, second episode, certain internal users not able to email certain internal users. Could it be that the users are using the nick file to send emails, like when they start an email and they start to type and automatically fills in? So going to take a pot shot at it, see if I was right. All right, guys, I'll talk to you later. And by the way, thanks for a great show. So I digress. Bye.
Dora, you are awesome. Thank you very much. So, that of an email. So let me read off of that real quick, once I can find the correct screen. And here we go. Hi, Matt and Lalo. I want to chime in on the issue with emailing Mary in episode 42, where you said certain people in the company could not email that person and will get a rejection message back. However, external users could email them just fine. We have completed numerous Exchange migrations, and we found this issue when we would move from one Exchange server to another. The problem is that the user's NK2 file, or autocomplete stream file in Outlook 2010, still has the old Exchange account information for that user. That's why you would see the rejection message say something about the first storage group. To fix this, there are two methods. Number one, create a new user profile for the person who is experiencing the issue. Not Mary, but the person who cannot email a Mary. Simple, but not recommended. Number two, download and run NK2 edit from, he gave me a URL. Once open, it should automatically open the user's NK2 file on their autocomplete stream file. Sort by address type at the top of the screen and delete all types of EEX as change. If you look closely, you will see Mary's address still has the oldest change information. Click save, and you should be good to go. Technically, you should be able to fix this issue by just opening a new message and beginning to type Mary and press the delete key. This normally removes the entry from the NK2 file, but for some reason this doesn't seem to work with the change accounts. Hope this helps, and please keep up the good work on the good show. I look forward to listening every week. All right, man. Well, I'll get a drink of water. Go ahead and take it away.
Okay, so the next morning I went and looked at this, and actually one of the things first thing I did was I just tried it from a different computer. I logged into the terminal server as this user, and everything worked fine. So I knew it was something with the profile or something with the that, and that's actually what I did. I opened up on the person who said they couldn't email the other person, start typing the name, and when the autocomplete came up, I hit delete, arrow down, hit delete. But he says here, this normally, but for some reason this doesn't work on Exchange. Oh, it doesn't work sometimes. Okay, it did work for me. I just arrowed down, hit delete, and then I was able to email the person because it looked up the right name. I did not use that utility, and that's from nearsoft.net, but I am going to use that because tomorrow I suspect that some people at that company, they've got 75 users, so 75 times 75 if they've all emailed each other. I just think they're not reporting it is what's happening. I think they're just doing, I don't know what they're doing, but I know one person reported it. But he did make it more complicated because he would say sometimes it would go through, sometimes it wouldn't.
Right.
Now, after talking to him, and the best thing, of course, is to say, show me what you're doing. And the way he got it to go through to everyone is he emailed a group that person was a part of. So he was emailing a group, not individually, and those got to him. But when he typed them in individually, it didn't go. But his description was sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
I wonder if it worked when he went through Outlook Web Access, because of course it doesn't use it in the file there.
And I tried that, and it worked. It was just on his. So I'm going to show them how to use that because, I mean, of course they can call us and we can do it for them, but the program looks pretty easy to use. You just run it and delete it. Of course, he could delete all the wrong things, but that's not really my problem. I really don't like when people use the NK2 as their address book, but it happens. So,
and I agree.
But that's a nice little utility. And this also happens. I had this happen today. We were doing actually, it wasn't a migration. It was the company was getting new servers and new workstations all at once. So nothing was staying. They were getting everything new. I mean, even down the printers, everything was new. So what I did, I set up the whole domain, all the workstations, the servers in my office on a separate network, and then we just went and dropped it in, and I migrated the data. I migrated all the Exchange accounts, all the public folders, which that's a whole other story in itself, public folders. But I let my guys, I did all this remotely. I let my guys go in and put the workstations in. I said, look, you just need to transfer whatever favorites and desktop stuff they had to the new computers. Well, one of the things they did was import the NK2 files. And he called me and he says, hey, I'm having the same problem that we had at the other place. I told him what the fix was, and he said, oh yeah, it works. Okay, great. So anytime you import any into NK2 file, you need to be careful about, especially when you're in Exchange, if you're going to a new server. Now, if it would have been just a new computer, not a new server, it would have worked fine. But with the new path, because Exchange has this long internal address assigned to it, that's what it's looking for.
Now, for those that could be asking, what's a NK2 file? It's simply. I'm sorry, Matt.
Oh no, go ahead.
If I were to email Matt for the first time in Outlook, it would, I would look up Matt Rainey, and then from that point on, instead of me having to type Matt Rainey or wherever the case may be, it keeps it as almost like a memory. I mean, it's like an autocomplete, and this also includes local contact, external contacts, and this is the one thing you hear about or hear a user complain about when you give them a new PC. Well, what happened to all my, they call them contacts. I've heard them call their favorites. And when you ask them to show me, it's the autocomplete. It's stored in a NK2 file.
Yeah. Now, of course, Outlook 2010 doesn't have that anymore. You can import your NK2 file into Outlook 2010, but there's no NK2 with Outlook 2010. It's just in suggested contacts. So if they're on Outlook 2010, you don't need to worry about backing up their NK2 file or anything like that. It's just included with either in the PST file or in their Exchange account.
Now, when it also, okay, I'm just thinking out loud here. Would it be a little bit easier just to delete that file and say, hey, it's a new server, start from scratch?
It is easier, of course, for us, but it's not that good for the customer.
And I agree. And, a lot of folks have a lot of external contacts, especially if you're a contractor or if you're a manager, or dealing with a lot of external users. They tend to freak out when their stuff's gone. So.
Right. And more times than not, you go look in somebody's, and that becomes part of our routine when we're putting in the new computers. That's one of the things we move over is the NK2 file. And then they're going to Outlook 2010, which they usually are if they're getting a new computer. We just import that into Outlook 2010 so we don't have to worry about it anymore. But I've had people say, all my contacts are missing. I had hundreds and hundreds, and come to find out it's the NK2 file, which is pretty big, and all their contacts are in there. And you have to explain to them why not to do that, because a lot of these people have iPhones and there's no contacts. These NK2 files aren't going to go on their Outlook contacts or in their iPhone, so it's only something that's with that computer,
right?
Unless it's Outlook 2010 on Exchange, because that actually puts it into suggested contacts and it's available at anywhere you have your Exchange profile available.
You got it.
So I'm glad to get away from NK2 files because those are those can be pretty annoying. So just be aware of that anytime you're switching servers. That's going to be a problem. Now, the next thing, I know we've talked about it before. When you get on a blacklist, if you have your own Exchange server or your own mail server of any kind, well, this is with Exchange. When you get on a blacklist, of course, you'll get calls saying, I can't send mail to anybody. It's bouncing back, this and that. Of course, you go to MX Toolbox, you look it up, they're on a blacklist. Of course, if you have an Exchange server, best practices, if you remember, is you should only be allowing 25 out from the Exchange server. So right away, if you have that enabled, because a lot of times what happens is a workstation might get infected and have its own SMTP engine, and it's sending out spam. Of course, if you have it blocked, port 25 only allowed from the Exchange server, that's not going to be an issue. They may get infected and maybe trying to send traffic out, but it won't be leaving your network because it's going to be blocked by the firewall. So we had a client call yesterday. I'm on the blacklist. Of course, we checked. It's not on port 25 is blocked, so which means it's got to be coming from the Exchange server. Okay. Mail has to be going through the Exchange server. Either the Exchange server itself has a rogue SMTP engine, or somebody's account got hacked, and they're sending mail through an authorized user, basically. I've never actually seen a rogue SMTP engine on an Exchange server, but of course, if you wanted to check for that, you could kill the Exchange services and watch your router logs and see if you still see traffic going out on port 25 from the IP address. Because if you have Exchange killed, nothing should be going out. If you see something going out, then you've got a rogue engine, which is probably easier to find. Just to check, so you can do that. But then I found an easy way. What I've done in the past is, if this happens, normally they're not using strong passwords. They're using weak passwords, Apple, whatever password, and they don't have strong passwords enforced. So what I've been doing before is I explained to them somebody has their account is compromised. So I kill the SMTP on this